Welcome to the 25 Days of Christmas. My name is Shane Reinert, and I'll be reading 25 Christmas stories over the next 25 days to you from Chicken Soup for the Christian Soul. The first story I'm going to be telling you is called Where's the Baby Jesus? And there's a quote before the story even begins. It says, I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all year. Charles Dickens. A nativity scene without baby Jesus? I have one proudly displayed at my house each Christmas. For me, it's a reminder of a past holiday when I purchased the broken set. I was bitter and disheartened that year after my parents, after 36 years of marriage, were getting a divorce. I could not accept their decision to part, and I became depressed, not realizing they needed my love and understanding more than ever. My thoughts were constantly filled with childhood memories, the huge Christmas trees, the gleaming decorations, the special gifts, and the love we shared as a close family. Every time I think about those moments, I'd burst into tears knowing I'd never feel the same spirit of Christmas again. But for my children's sake, I decided to make the effort, joining the last-minute shoppers. They pushed, shoved, and complained as they grabbed from shelves and racks. Christmas trees and Christmas tree lights and ornaments dangled from open boxes, and the few dolls and stuffed toys sitting on the nearby emptied shelves reminded me of neglected orphans. A small nativity scene had fallen onto the floor in front of my shopping cart, and I stopped to put it back on the shelf. After glancing at the endless checkout line, I decided it wasn't worth the effort, and had made my mind up to leave when suddenly I heard a loud, sharp voice cry out, Sarah, you get that thing out of your mouth right now before I slap you. But Mommy, I wasn't putting it in my mouth. See, Mommy? I was kissing it. Look, Mommy, it's little baby Jesus. Well, I don't care what it is. You put it down right now. You hear me? But come look, Mommy, the child insisted. It's all broken. It's a little manger and the baby Jesus got broke off. As I listened from the next aisle, I found myself smiling and waiting to see the little girl who had kissed the baby Jesus. She appeared to be 4 or 5 years old and was not properly dressed for the cold, wet weather. Bright, colorful pieces of yarn were tied on the ends of her braids, making her look cheerful despite her ragged attire. Reluctantly, I turned my eyes to her mother. She was paying no attention to the child, but was anxiously looking through the marked-down winter coats at the bargain rack. She was also shabbily dressed, and her torn, dirty tennis shoes were wet from the cold, melting snow. Asleep in the shopping cart was a small baby bundled snugly in a thick, washed-out yellow blanket. Mommy, the little girl called to her, can we buy this here little baby Jesus? We can set him on the table by the couch and we could... I told you to put that thing down, her mother interrupted. You get yourself over here right now or I'm going to give you a spanking, you hear me? Angrily, the woman hurried towards the child. I turned away, not wanting to see, expecting her to punish the child as she had threatened. A few seconds passed. No movement. No scolding. Just complete silence. Puzzled, I peeked again and was astonished to see the mother kneeling on the wet, dirty floor, holding the child close to her trembling body. She sobbed to say something, but only managed a desperate sob. Don't cry, Mommy, the child pleaded, wrapping her arms around her mother. She apologized for her behavior. I'm sorry I wasn't good in the store. I promise I won't ask for nothing else. I don't want this here little baby Jesus. Really, I don't. See, I'll put him back in the manger. Please don't cry anymore, Mommy. I'm sorry too, honey, answered the mother finally. You know I don't have enough money to buy anything extra right now. And I'm just crying 'cause I wished I did, it being Christmas and all. But I bet come Christmas morning, if you promise to be a real good girl, you might find them pretty little play dishes you've been wanting, and maybe next year we can get us a real Christmas tree. How about that? You know what, Mommy? The child said excitedly. I don't need this here little baby Jesus doll anyhow. You know why? 'Cause my Sunday school teacher says Jesus really lives in your heart. I'm glad he lives in my heart, aren't you, Mommy? I watched the child take her mother's hand and walk to the front of the store. Her simple words, exclaimed with excitement, were echoing through my mind. He lives in my heart. I looked at the nativity scene and realized that a baby born in a stable 2,000 years ago is a person who still walks with us today, making his presence known, working to bring us through the difficulties of life if only we will let him. Thank you, God, I began to pray. Thank you for a wonderful childhood filled with precious memories, and for parents who provided a home for me and gave me love I needed during the most important years of my life. But most of all, thank you for giving us your Son. Quickly, I grabbed various pieces of the nativity scene and hurried to the checkout counter. Recognizing one of the clerks, I asked her to give the doll to the little girl who was then leaving the store with her mother, and explained I would pay for it later. I watched the child accept the gift, then give baby Jesus another kiss as she walked out the door. The little broken nativity scene reminds me every year of a child whose simple words touched my life and transformed my despair into new assurance and joy. The baby Jesus is not there, of course, but every time I look at the empty manger, I know the answer to the question, where's the baby Jesus? He's in my heart. Jeannie S. Williams. This is a great story and an example of how we can really be selfish around the holidays and forget about what Christmas is really about. I hope this story has brought some of the Christmas spirit back into you and your life, and I hope that you tune back in for each and every single one of these Christmas stories for the next 25 days.